Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of What in Cause Inspires You. I'm your host, Jessalyn Maan, and joined by our guest, Deb Sharma. Alicia Gupta, a Humanity Rising ambassador, launched the What Cause Inspires You podcast as a way for students to share the service they are doing in their communities. We encourage young people like Deb to share their stories and inspire others. Deb is an incoming college freshman from Palatine, Illinois, and the founder of the Raksha Foundation. The joint cause of art and interaction inspires him. So, Deb, could you tell us why art and interaction is your passion?
Honestly, it kind of started from when I was a little kid. I had really like a number of like passions that I kind of had, and I didn't know how to like put them all together, but I kind of just pursued them on my own. So it like started from like clothing design and architecture to also like writing, and I love to read as well. And it all kind of like came together when my mom got diagnosed with cancer in 2022, I believe. Um, and that kind of helped me to kind of use my art in a way that helped her out. So what I did was that I had like this kind of interest at that time where I would kind of take things from around the house and put them together and make something out of it. So I found like paper, cardboard, and just like cloth that I used to use for my clothing design stuff. And I kind of put them together and I made my own like handmade like hardcover notebook. So like I would like sew together all the pieces of paper and then I would also glue them onto like a hardcover, um, like um, like a hardcover, like the hardcover part of like a notebook. And that basically made like a journal for both my mom and I that we kind of used to express ourselves. And it really helped her to kind of not only like express herself, but also to kind of like reignite her love for learning. Because before she got diagnosed, she used to love kind of just going online, looking through different videos about spirituality and other types of things that would help her understand more about the world, and who we are as humans. And I thought that was a really good way of helping her to kind of reignite her passion for learning because I saw her get really drained out and really demotivated and just kind of lose a lot of her confidence during that time. And it really, really hurt me. So I thought art and interaction was a really, really good way that it kind of brought me closer to my mom and also help me to understand more about what she was experiencing. So that's kind of like where my passion started for art, and how it kind of implemented into Raksha itself as well.
Yeah, I think that maybe some people might underestimate just how important art is as a creative outlet. Because creating art is obviously how we like can express ourselves, but also it can serve as a means of connecting people, like by, communicating what we're going through and allowing other people to see what emotions we're going through, what we're facing. And it's a great
Yeah,
way to foster that interaction, like you were talking about. So,
exactly.
a major action you have taken to make a difference in your cause and passion is starting your organization, the Raksha Foundation. So, could you tell us the goals of your organization?
Yeah, so it originally started kind of to use art as a way of empowering youth to make a global impact. But over time, I also kind of understood how it wasn't only something that could help youth to express themselves artistically, also a good way of really connecting people around self-worth. And I really found this to also apply not only on a social level, but also on a like corporate level, where I started implementing this idea into the kind of the gap that I saw between corporate social responsibility, like initiatives and those executives, and also the people that they were serving. I saw that there was a really big gap between both of those like groups of people and how they each understood the other side. Like especially like when corporate social responsibility executives, they didn't seriously understand what the current or critical issues were in specific communities. So that's why I found this kind of idea to be really good as a way of implementing it into the way that these sectors in corporations are made. And I thought that youth could be a really good way of driving that and using interaction as a way of actually emotionally connecting with a lot of communities in need. And using art along the way to kind of not only empower the youth who are serving the people, but also the people who are being served.
Yeah. So, how do you fulfill those goals through the services that you offer?
So it originally started kind of with card making events. I was originally kind of ambiguous on how to actually initiate the idea that I had of using art and interaction to emotionally connect with people. But as I started seeing more of me doing like those card making events and things like drives and other initiatives like that, I felt like there wasn't as much interpersonal
Mhm.
connection between the people that we had as volunteers and the people that we were serving. So I started kind of just going around like calling up different organizations and locations. And we started going more into fundraising, senior living events, and also doing some kind of programs with like refugees and other types of demographics. This really helped us to actually meet with those demographics and understand what their stories were like, what they were experiencing, how we could actually help them out. And I saw a lot of growth, not only in our own team, but in also the people that we served. And I saw that there was a lot of genuine connections that we made that actually fostered kind of like a really long lasting connection. So we would do one initiative and then we would go again and meet the same people that we served, and they would still remember our volunteers and have that same kind of fun
Wow.
connection with each of them. And I saw that it really, really helped us to gain some kind of understanding of what people are going through, and also for volunteers to really open up and understand what our mission is all about.
Yeah, and you kind of touched on this, but could you kind of elaborate more on like how your organization has evolved past these few years, you know?
Yeah, exactly. We first started with those kind of initiatives. So I did expand a lot with drives, especially. So I was like contacting many organizations, and we understood that certain like needs around the community in Chicagoland area were specifically the refugees that were coming from various different countries. And we saw for one of the organizations that we partnered with, it was World Relief. And they basically helped to find shelter and give shelter and all these types of resources to refugees so that they can kind of adapt to the new way of life in the US. So we kind of got more involved with World Relief through that. And through that partnership, we really evolved because that not only led to us kind of expanding our like drives, but we also did a new program called the Self-Discovery Program, which was one of the two kind of interpersonal initiatives that we really started with. So the first one was like our senior living events where we would go to senior living places and we would interact with dementia seniors. But this program, like the self-discovery program that we partnered with World Relief for, that really helped us to actually meet with hundreds of refugees across the Chicagoland area and really understand what their career, like what their understanding of different careers were like, and how we could kind of help them to understand more about the industries around them and certain concepts in science, math, business. And we also taught them a little bit about like food manufacturing. So there was a lot of interest around that of how the kids kind of understood more about how food gets brought to the table and just how things work on a day-to-day life around the world. And that's kind of like how it's evolved over time. It first started with initiatives that were just local, and then it kind of grew to more bigger demographics across the Chicagoland area. And then we started going more global. So then we started connecting more with people in India and also people in my mom's hometown of Jamshedpur in India. And yeah, it's just basically kind of evolved through partnerships, me kind of putting myself out there, just understanding what other organizations have been like, what they've been serving, and how we can serve the people that they also serve.
I think that like the wide range of like services your organization offers is just makes it so like adaptable to the different types of people you're serving, different communities you're serving. And I think that's so important because it only broadens your impact and it kind of expands that cause of art and interaction to like all different demographics and not just like your community or like a specific age group. It's just like very expansive, which I think is really great.
Yeah. And that's also kind of like what my mission was that I kind of understood over time of how one issue, one global issue, it might seem the same across various different nations of how there might be poverty or a lack of opportunities, but in reality, those specific issues, they differ from community to community because there might be one discrepancy that is different from another, like where I'll talk about this a little bit later on when I go more into like our international like sustainability and education program. But there was a time when we visited one of the schools and they saw that there was a problem in the water supply that they were getting. that there was a problem in like they didn't just need water, they needed cool water. And just that small detail in their everyday life really made a harmful impact on the students' education and their health. And there were many students who were even fainting and they had to be really cared for as they were at school, and that was really inhibiting their ability to get an education, a proper education. Even though they were getting water, they weren't getting the proper resources that was really needed for their specific community. So that was something that I really wanted to touch upon with Raksha, of how our services should be unique to each community that we try to, address, and kind of understanding more about what their story is like and how
Yeah.
we can, get more involved in it.
Yeah, exactly. So, like you've mentioned, your organization has gone global. So it's obviously worked with some really impressive partners such as the Tata conglomerate in India. So could you kind of describe how you were able to connect with this organization and how this partnership, like what impact this had on your partnership, I mean, your organization?
Yeah. So this specific partnership did take a long time for us to secure, because I myself kind of started with reaching out to different foundations and organizations around the US and even globally. So I was just reaching out by email, by calling, and I was trying to network with different types of executives. I did reach out to, I think, the Gates Foundation. I reached out to UNICEF as well, before I reached out to Tata. And I was trying to network with different types of people, kind of understanding what their motives are like and where they're kind of based. I do believe I remember either the Gates Foundation or UNICEF, either one of them, they were based in Jamshedpur. So I was really trying to kind of understand more about who I could contact and how I could kind of address the problems that they were working on over there. Um, but then once I kind of got in contact with an executive at Data, I started working more on kind of researching how I could pitch our program to
Yeah.
them and kind of improve the way we approached their corporate social responsibility sector. And basically, it started initially off as a clothing program. So it was like the Raksha International Clothing Program. But this kind of evolved over time to kind of tailor more to the specific problems that I saw were really critical in Jamshedpur itself. And this came with time, kind of understanding more about how we could partner with Data. And Data itself, they kind of guided us to connect with, I think, like five or so different schools and shelters around Jamshedpur. And this kind of helped us to understand how there are a lot of problems related to sustainability, water, sanitation, and just kind of equipment related to education. Um, and we kind of evolved more from the clothing aspect to actually implementing technology and leveraging that to really impact the students. So that's how it kind of evolved over time, and that's how our partnership kind of, grew stronger. So yeah, I just kind of aligned more with how I could work with Data and with Jim Shadesburg's needs more.
Yeah, it's great how they like connected you with those like areas in need and it probably saved you like a lot of time before like
Yeah,
being on your
exactly.
own. So specifically with your project in India, you mentioned that you were able to aid schools and others in need by supporting their educational and nutritional needs. So could you talk a little bit more about this experience and how it relates to your cause of interaction and emotional connectivity through service?
So there were like two rounds of us going to each location. So the first round was kind of just immersing ourselves into the lives of the students, their families, and also we met abandoned seniors and orphans that were brought from across the entire country of India. And it was really nice to see different types of people who were all gathered in one area and how we could kind of understand more about their diverse stories, where they came from, um, and how we could kind of just address their problems. And through this first round of going through each location, I really was grateful for doing that, because we were able to interview each principal and the lead of each location, and they were kind of giving us a little insight into what the problems were like. Certain stories of specific kids, of how they've grown so much, of how they get the resources, but how they get the resources from the government and local social responsibility initiatives, but they aren't able to get the opportunity to actually have some social mobility in society. Um, and I really saw how like the students were able to really grow in their local competitions and the resources that they were given, but their families weren't able to really grow out of the bubble that they were kind of,
Yeah.
put under, the poverty that they were in and the lack of resources. They weren't able to get the opportunity to grow in their career or get any source of kind of income. So that was something that was really focused on of how even though that these communities were served by the government and the CSR initiatives, they weren't really served in like a micro level,
Hmm.
I would say,
Yeah.
where like the executives they kind of like immersed more into the people's lives and understood what the discrepancies were.
Yeah.
And that's where our program came in, and we kind of helped Dada and ourselves to kind of understand like how there are certain things that should be addressed. Like I talked about, like the small difference between even just giving water instead of cool water, that itself made such a big difference. And there were students who weren't able to have opportunities for their families to actually grow career-wise and like across the society as well. And that itself kind of was something that we tried to focus more on. Um, and overall, throughout the entire program, we were able to impact, I think, around 1,050 individuals in 3 days. But I think the most meaningful part of that was our ability to actually make memories with each person that we met and kind of understanding what their stories were like. We did implement educational technology and also technology related to like water cooling and water sanitation. And we also gave like nutritional support to the seniors that we had met. And we also provided clothing to the orphans that we also met in some shelters. And one big fact about those orphans was that even though they were brought from across the country, they were all settled in that one shelter. And it was kind of like a shelter in which the orphans would practice dance. And the dancing itself, they would put on performances for the community. And through those performances, they would fundraise for their own nutritional needs and for their clothing and for just them to have their basic needs. And I really saw that our program could kind of help them out in, advancing their performances and giving them the clothing and the nutrition that they really needed. Um, so I was really happy that I found that shelter, and it was just in the corner of like one of the streets near my mom's um home, like her childhood home. And I was really happy to find them like on the same street because it was so convenient and it was so nice to kind of see how there were people even just across the entire town who were really in need of specific things that our program could help them with. And yeah, that's just kind of how our program grew. Day by day, each day we kind of found a new place that we could kind of help out and how we could implement our partnership with Dada and our own resources and fundraising to kind of help out those demographics.
Yeah, that's like a huge disparity that you're like trying to remedy in India. So I think that's so great because yeah, I was reading some books like about it. I don't
Hmm.
I think it was called Behind the Beautiful Forevers or something like that.
Hmm.
And that's a great book about, like just the disparities that like in the education system and like the even like the water, like even just a simple necessity like water is unequal there. So I think it's really great that you're addressing that.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of touch on like more general thing about your cause. And so I just want to know like why is it important to make an emotional impact and foster interpersonal connections when you're doing service?
So I think those two aspects have been really important in my life, and I've seen that really grow youth, who have been a part of our initiative as well. And honestly, I've been researching a lot about it, and I've seen that interaction and art have clinically shown a lot of resonating impact on different types of demographics, and it's been able to improve not only mental but also physical health.
Yeah.
And we also saw that ourselves in our own senior living event, actually. So like I kind of discussed before, we would do one round of kind of like an event, and then we would go again and kind of interact with the same groups of people to kind of show or kind of see what the impact of our interaction was.
Yeah.
And this happened with our first interaction kind of interactive event. Um, so the first one was like an expression through art event with a local senior living event, a senior living place. And we kind of used art and collages as a way of storytelling and understanding what each senior was like when they were, during their childhood. And they were able to recall a lot of different things. that they were kind of expressing. Like one of them, I think one of the seniors, her name was Faye, and she was really close to me and everything. And she would kind of express her childhood and her um, kind of experience as an orthodontist, mainly because I had braces at that time as well. So it kind of like, jerked that that memory of her, experience as an orthodontist. And it was really nice to hear about their different stories and everything. And I think around 2 or 3 weeks later, we actually found out that all of the seniors, like when we came back into the senior living place, we saw that all the seniors remembered each and every one of our team members and volunteers, and they kind of shared that same connection with them, and it really showed how much of an impact we made by even just interacting with them for a straight just 1 or 2 hours, and by using art as a way of, just kind of connecting with them and really understanding what their stories were like. Um, and I feel like right now, over time, the implementation of service and like just social responsibility initiatives have become really generalized over time, because corporations have been trying to implement it into their way of, marketing themselves and the way that they serve the world. But I feel like it's been really limited to several forms when, as I said, like the same global issue can be kind of different based off of different complexities that arise in different types of communities. So just one drive might not really address the problems in all communities across the world. It might only address one specific community, or, what problems come up in the local community, that might not be the same as in another state in the US. So that's kind of something that I wanted to implement into our own mission, and kind of like immerse more into the communities that we work with, so that we can build a better and more sustainable, more personalized solution to what they're kind of lacking.
Yeah, I think that, when like you said, going into the service you're doing and not having like walls put up and like actually trying to connect with the people you're helping, it's gonna like you said, like all the seniors remembered your like each of the volunteers. I think it makes a lot more of like a memorable experience for both the volunteer and the person who is getting the help.
Yeah.
And it's not as like I don't know, it's more organic and it's more just beneficial for everyone involved because you're making new memories, it's beneficial for both parties, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So I also want to talk about your partnership, or not partnership, but your ties with the UN. So your organization has been recognized by the UN. So could you describe this experience and how it has benefited your organization as well as furthered your cause?
Yeah, so it was kind of a mix of both, I think, a partnership and a recognition. So we initially partnered with the Volunteer Groups Alliance, which is a great coalition of global organizations. I think around 100 organizations from, I think, 150 countries across the world. And we were able to get that recognition and partnership from them to kind of push forward the SDGs, or the sustainable development goals that the UN has. And basically, that platform is for all of our organizations to come together to, push forward these goals through volunteering, petitions, UN conferences, and just different UN activities that we get involved in. And our goal is basically just to gather volunteers globally through different types of initiatives. And even on the website, you can see that there's many different stories of organizations that have come from different parts of the world and what they're working on, and just kind of like how we come all together as one group. And there's like monthly meetings that we kind of talk about different types of agendas, like the 2030 agenda that the UN has, and how we're working all on it together through each of our unique initiatives. And I feel like it's a really good community that we've had, and it's like the recognition from the UN that we've gotten through that has been really helpful for kind of expanding our mission and helping more people to really learn more about what we all work on at Raksha. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that, reaching an international level with your organization is such like an impressive accomplishment. And I don't know, I think a lot of young people, including myself, didn't really think it like I wouldn't think it would have been possible for like a high schooler to achieve like kind of international recognition. So yeah, that's really great. And I think it maybe goes to show that like even if you, regardless of age, you can still make that greater impact.
Yeah, definitely. That's all what we're about. It's
Yeah.
about using youth to actually make a global impact
Yeah.
because honestly, youth have a lot of power that they could use to really make an impact on different demographics. And that's what we kind of do. We want to empower youth to really understand and actualize that potential that they have, basically.
Yeah, so I also want to talk about kind of like the connections you've been able to make through your organization,
Mhm.
specifically with like-minded peers. So has your service been able to connect you with like-minded individuals who are passionate about your same cause?
Yes, definitely. Honestly, I think that came originally from us trying to expand our team and just kind of trying to find volunteers who are, really interested in what we're doing. And I've seen many people who have contacted me from like even across the US, even though a majority of our members or like our team members are originally from Palatine or around this area that we were founded in. But I've gotten people who reached out to me from like Texas, New York, and other different states who are really interested in joining the team and everything like that. And I just love how like our organization has kind of grown to, build this kind of warm environment in which everyone is kind of included. They can show what their artistic talent can do and how much of an impact it can make. And I've just seen over time through each one of our initiatives, our interactive initiatives, is that the people that volunteer with us, they originally start off to be just as shy as how I used to be when I started Raksha off,
Yeah.
but over time they get really opened up and they open up a lot and they just kind of express more about themselves and understand more about the other people that they work with, the people that we serve, and just it just grows to be a more fond and just warm community that I've really liked over time.
Yeah, I think that's great. So could you just kind of describe what your plans for the future are?
Yeah. So I have been working on Raksha a little bit over this summer as well. It's kind of the gap between my high school and college. So I've been kind of drafting out a little bit of more like ideas of what I have to expand Raksha, honestly, because my vision for it is kind of to be one portion of the CSR part to, like the brand I like aim to kind of make because I have a really entrepreneurial spirit, so I have this really big thing for not only service but also using the businesses and the entrepreneurship that I work on to kind of serve people, use the things that I work on to serve people in some way. So some of the plans that I have for Raksha right now we've been working on our self-discovery program. So we've been having sessions for that and everything. So we worked more. It happened last year actually. So this is our second annual self-discovery program, and we're still partnered with World Relief on this, and we're kind of helping students to understand different concepts about the world, like science.
Mhm.
Like one of our sessions was about we used oobleck to kind of understand certain types of solids, liquids, and different types of states of matter. And it was really interesting seeing all of the kids from different ages and different grades to kind of understand more about it. Honestly, even I didn't know the scientific term. I think I kind of forgot what it specifically was. It was like non-Newtonian fluids. Even I didn't know much about it, but I've heard about oobleck. But it was really, really fun seeing like all the kids kind of getting more immersed in each activity we were doing. So that we were working on right now, and then RICEP, which is our international sustainability and education program that we do in India. We partnered with Tata last year, and I've been working on kind of expanding more to other companies as well. We might partner with Tata again, or I might also go to UNICEF or other different foundations to kind of understand where we can go as well. Maybe we can go to different parts of the world instead of India, or we could focus more on different places in India as well. Um, and another thing that I also wanted to add as another initiative was I want to add this international film festival in some way, to kind of bring a new perspective to, like Raksha, in which youth can kind of get involved in, like voicing, their own ideas and kind of showing what are major issues in their local community or or just issues in general that they've seen, across the world. Or they could also make short films about the impact of human connection and why it's so important. And I really feel that this kind of initiative that might come up in the next couple of months or in the next couple of years, as I build Raksha up, I feel like that could be a really good initiative in not only expanding our potential, but also opening doors to new youth like from different parts of the world and really, expressing what their communities are like and what they have to say about it, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a really great idea. It's definitely also like a really great creative kind of side to add to the organization. So, was there any kind of advice that you could give students who want to make a difference in a cause they're passionate about, but they just like don't know where to start?
hmm I initially was a very shy kid, honestly.
Mhm.
When I started this, I just had a vision and an idea and I wanted to do something about it. And that was the same thing with like any one of my like initiatives that I worked on. Like I started off with even just like a simple Instagram account for my own clothing design stuff. I remember I would be really, I didn't want to show much about what I was working on, even though I worked on it so much behind the scenes. But with Raksha specifically, I just had an idea and I kind of just put myself out there. That's all you have to do, even as a youth. Sometimes you have to make your own path to kind of, get the vision out of what you've, just getting the vision out there. And one way I kind of just did that was by simply just proposing like initiatives to local libraries and local organizations. I just like called them up like by putting in their phone number and just asking for their activity coordinators, just to kind of connect more with people, find out who I could network with, and how I could expand Raksha. I feel like not even just that, you could do even simple things from a day-to-day life. Those simple things can even be a daily basis of kind of like service. That's similar to like how I help my mom out through my notebooks. Even just a small thing of using your talents or using your interests, like even playing the instrument or just helping someone out in their daily needs, that itself could be service. And by expanding it out to different communities, like how I did, I feel like that's a really good way for youth to actually get involved and unite other youth or other demographics of different ages to really make a difference in the world.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's finding something that you're passionate about and that you're willing to like sacrifice your time and put a lot of effort into, and just like really staying focused on that and not letting like maybe the intimidating factors of like your age or maybe not having enough like sponsors or something like that like hold you back, like just continuing to like work towards what you want.
Yeah. And even reaching out to, I think like local, or even like going to local meetings or local conferences, or even, I think there was also like this youth, council that, State Representative Nabila Syed, holds. And there's many kids from across the Chicagoland area that go there, and our team kind of got involved with her work, and kind of understood how we could work more with her through fundraisers and also understanding how we could, build up our program for India. And it really helped to kind of, reach out to that council and also get more involved in what Nabila is working on. And our connection with her is very strong, where we can, just go up and talk to them as well. Like that itself is so heartwarming of how like even just by networking, you're able to create such a strong network. And just by doing that, itself helps you as a youth to really put yourself out there and get new opportunities and find new ways that you can grow as a person.
Yeah. So if the audience wants to get in contact with you, what would be the best way?
So there's many ways of honestly contacting us. We have our Instagram. You can go to Raksha_org. That is our Instagram handle. And then for our website, you can go to rakshafoundation.weebly.com. That's Weebly, so Weebly. And then you can also just email us at rakshafoundation.us@gmail.com. And you can also just check out what we're doing on our YouTube, our Instagram, just kind of seeing what new initiatives there are like. We'd love to hear from you by email, or you guys can check out our the interviews that we did in our Rise Up program in India on our YouTube. We've also done webinars and stuff, and I think there might also be our introductory meeting from like I don't know, maybe two years ago or so. On our YouTube. So you can see how we've grown, how our initiative has kind of changed gears over time, of how we started from this idea of just using art and interaction, of now how we're using youth to transform, corporate social responsibility and just service on a global level.
Yeah, and we'll try to put those links in the description of the video and podcast recording. So,
Yeah.
Deb, so thank you so much for sharing your cause with us. Your journey and advice is really inspiring, and your dedication to your organization and cause is so meaningful and impactful. So, thank you so much for doing the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to talk to you today, honestly.
Yeah, no problem. And for the viewers, be sure to follow our Instagram and Facebook pages to stay updated on our scholarship opportunities, future podcasts, and events. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.